Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial in Mississippi. We welcome you all back to our program. Also, those tuning in through our online affiliates around the world, including our iHeartRadio family. We're glad that you all could join us as well. I'm really excited to welcome back to our program today author and motivational speaker Montana Esco. And if the name sounds familiar, had a chance now almost 5 years ago to be able to interview Montana on this program. We had a chance to feature him as well through our print edition of our magazine. He's an individual who's been able to accomplish a lot in his life, but also been able to endure a lot as well. If you remember the name, he talked to us about his health issues that he was going through. Also, of course, a near-death experience that he happened even in his own home. But since then, he's been able to share his story as well as, of course, to be able to write 3 books with more on the way. We're going to talk to Montana about the journey of becoming a published author, but also what it's been like for him to inspire people through his life. Montana, hello to you, and welcome back to the program, man.
How you doing, Cyrus?
Hey, man, doing really good. Well, look, what a difference 5 years makes. Let's just say that. I mean, you've had a busy 2018. This year alone, you released 2 books, one, of course, dealing with bullying, another dealing with death. We're going to let our audience know at the end of our segment how they can find out more about those, Montana. But also, you did your first television interview about your books, and you've been did your first speaking engagement at a school. What has it been like for you, Montana, with all that you've gone through, to be able to see the year you've been able to have this year?
Well, first of all, let me give honor to God, because with God, everything is possible. This year has been amazing, Cyrus. I owe you a lot of credit. You've helped me and guided me through a lot of things I'm going through and things that I've been through. So I definitely want to give you a major shout-out for helping me and just embracing me to be a better person. But this year has been wonderful. It's been amazing. I have the opportunity to do a lot of different things, to interact with a lot of different children and people. So it's just been a blessing.
Yeah. Now, as I mentioned, Montana, you have released 3 books, and I do appreciate you saying that. But, I tell people, I'm glad to do my part, but it's really the individual who does the work. I mean, the first book that you released, if you can believe it, was 3 years ago, The Story of Esco, about the importance of dreaming, believing, and achieving great things. And as I said, you followed it up this year with 2 other books, Esco Befriends a Bully, of course, addressing the issue of bullying, and then Finding Good in Bad Times, where you kind of address the issue of, being able to handle bad things that happen. What has been the biggest surprise for you, Montana, as you kind of look at what you've achieved? I mean, what's been one of the biggest surprises for you that you think you'll take away from this year?
You said the biggest surprise?
Right.
Biggest surprise, honestly, probably would be the lack of support you get from people that actually know you.
Yeah. And you know what? I hear that a lot, man. And I think it's one of those things, I know people will say in different states, is this what happens here, what happens there. But I think that kind of has become a worldwide thing, that you do seem to have strangers supporting you more than anyone else. I mentioned, this year you also made your first school visit by yourself. Now, you have been with me at a school before, several years ago. But what was it like for you to be the headliner, so to speak, of Montana, and to be able to share with the kids and to see them respond to your book?
Man, it was an amazing feeling. I'm pretty sure we all can remember going to school and not wanting to be there. So for me to actually be invited to a school and for the school to purchase a good number of my books, it was a great experience. I was blessed, a blessed experience. The kids really enjoyed it. I think the teachers really enjoyed it. The principal enjoyed it. It was just a great experience, and it was a good cause.
Right, for sure. Well, I mean, I think, as I said, you've been able to accomplish so much. And one of the big things that I think is interesting with you, Montana, is, as I said, all of this almost didn't happen. I mean, going back to when we first talked, the first time we featured you back in 2013, you had been through a lot at the age of 25 at that point, that a lot of people would not have known. As I mentioned, you've dealt with health issues. You continue to deal with those, but also being shot multiple times, man. I mean, what is it like for you to kind of reflect on how, even though this has been such a big year for you, how all of this could have been lost?
Well, I like to think of it as everything happened for a reason. I went through a lot of tough times, but I just always try to think of it in a positive manner. I just think God sometimes allows bad things to happen to good people, not to punish them, but to test their faith. So everything I went, I really use it to help other people and to be other people's blessings. So I just take the good with the bad and keep rolling with it. But I'm very blessed to be here. I went through a lot. And, the stuff I went through, I want to let the people that's going through things or recently went through things, they even have family going through some of the issues I went through, to know it's going to be okay.
Right, for sure. What do you think has kept you with a positive attitude? I remember when we sat down to tape an episode of my web series, Cyrus Webb Presents, I had a chance to talk to you about this face-to-face, and I asked you about, how did you not allow yourself to get into the anger? I mean, what do you think has kind of helped you to not want to seek vengeance and seek revenge?
Number one would be God. My mom, she definitely been a very, very important figure in my life. She always told me the importance of God and the importance of why He let me be in the position I am, and the reason why He let me make it through some of the situations I went through. So I got a real strong mom, a praying mom. I really owe her all the credit.
Yeah. It's funny, in 2013, when I asked you a similar question, Montana, this is what you told me at that point. I feel blessed just to be here. I decided to let God handle the situation. I just have to work on me. And I think, that's what you've been able to do, and that's what you've been able to show other people as well. You also gave some advice for others when we talked back in 2013. You said you don't want to take a day for granted. You never know what's going to happen. Learn from every incident and try not to repeat your mistakes. Is that also something even today that you try to live by?
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely. One thing as an adult, we all make mistakes because life didn't come with an instruction guide.
Right.
But as an adult, we also need to learn from mistakes and try not to make them again.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, and that's something that all of us, again, can learn from. For those who are just tuning in, you're listening to Conversations Live. Excited to welcome back to our program today Montana Esco. He's a motivational speaker and author. Montana, have you gotten used to that, being called an author?
I'm just now getting that, but I have to call me author, Montana Esco, and it sounds good.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the ways people can stay connected with you is through Instagram. I bring up social media, Montana, because that's one of the ways, too, you've been able to share your story. Even going back to being shot multiple times, you took to social media. At that point, it was mainly Facebook, as I remember. You had thousands of individuals. That post kind of went viral. You shared, pictures of your body, from the gunshot wounds. What was it like for you to see the way that people responded? Because you mentioned earlier about, how sometimes we have the lack of support locally, but what was it like for you to see the way that people around the world, though, responded to your story?
I was surprised that my story affected so many people. I didn't realize just by, using my experience and explaining what I went through would help so many people. So it was very overwhelming to get the support I got from other cities, other states, and other countries.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things, too, that continues as well. Do you see yourself, Montana, as a role model? I know for some people that's not an easy thing to embrace because there is a lot of responsibility that comes with that. But based on what you've been through and where you are today, do you see yourself as an example for other people?
Yes, I do. I do consider myself a role model. I'm still working on myself, but in the life I live in the city I live in, I think kids and the people, younger adults, who look up to me, just from the things I went through, and I try to, let them know my past is my past, but my future is I'm still working on my future, so I do think I'm a role model, but I am still working on myself.
Right, and I think all of us, anyone who's living, I think they can kind of relate to that as well. I think one of the other big things, Montana, I wanted to talk to you about is, as you said, the story is not finished. When you and I first connected, your intent was to write your autobiography, to write a memoir of your story. Of course, other things have happened since then, and for one reason, because you're still going through health challenges as well. There are some people who go through a small part of what what you have, and it stops them. As I mentioned, you're still having surgeries even this year, but then we'll see you back up and moving around again. I mean, what is it like for you to see that even through, the medical challenges you're facing, why is it so important for you to keep going?
Well, one thing is that's a lot of people watching. And like I said earlier, I feel like people do look at some of the situations I go through, and they just really kind of want to know how to get through their own situation. So, again, I do make a lot of stuff I go through public, from the service to my doctor visits to even taking chemo. And what I do, I try to, I try to share my story with the world, and I try to, with my followers, to basically help them. If they're going through something similar to what I'm going through, if they have a mom going through something or a brother, even a family member, I basically want to give them the confidence to say, you'll be okay.
Right, for sure. And I think, knowing that you have a support system, there as well. You mentioned your mother earlier. You have, others that you're able to rely on. I mean, you've also been able to inspire other people to share their stories. There are people I have met because of you, Montana, who have then now since, had their own stories published now for the world to be able to share. I mean, what has that been like for you to know that just by you doing what you've done, you've inspired other people to take that step to share their own story?
To be honest, that's one of my greatest achievements. Writing a book and becoming an author, that was one thing. But to actually help others become an author, that's one of my greatest achievements.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it is something that I know other people really appreciate, and I've seen them, give you shout-outs. I mean, in regards to that as well, because of your being willing to do that. So let's talk about the what's next. I mean, you're still a young person. As you said, you're still growing. We all are a work in progress. What are some of the things that you would like to do that we can be able to look forward to from Montana Esco?
Well, working on another children's book. I do look forward to speaking with children and a couple more engagement with the school. Mm-hmm. School is coming up next month, so I'm just looking forward to getting with the children and try to lead them on the right track.
Right, for sure.
But a new book is definitely in the works.
All right. So a lot more for them to be able to look forward to. I mean, I did see, I think it was on Instagram, Montana, about I mentioned earlier about the school visit. I mean, being able to have that kind of documented. I mean, do you still have those moments you're able to look at those pictures, to look at that video and smile and say, wow, I did that?
Man, it's amazing. I actually took a video person with me that day.
Yeah. And
I was able to capture a lot of moments, picture and video. So, yes, when I'm able to look back at the videos, I surprise myself sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it's something to be proud of, man. I mean, what you have been able to do, what you continue to do, I think says so much, and it really does show people, again, what is possible for them. Another thing I want to mention, again, because we've been having these conversations now, of course, in telephone interviews such as this one. We've been able to do it, of course, in person, as I mentioned earlier, for our web series. I mean, your message, though, I think really has been so important, because it really has, as you have told me, that your story has changed people's lives. When you hear that from people, I mean, because you have a powerful platform, especially online. I mean, you have a lot of people who follow you. I mean, when you hear people, talk about how what you've gone through has inspired them, what does that do to you?
It motivates me to help more people. I mean, I love that my stories or my advice can help somebody change their life. So anytime anybody come back to me and tell me that, they listen to one of my stories or they listen to something I put on social media and they can relate, it inspires me to try to help more people.
Yeah, and I think that's something all of us can be able to learn from. Again, everyone, Montana Esco is our guest for this segment. We're talking to Montana not only about the journey to where he is today, but also how he's been able to overcome adversity in his life, being able to, at this point, publish 3 books, as you heard him say. More is to come, but also to be able to show people by example what's possible. I want to kind of go through the last book that you published, because I think the message is so important, Montana. It's Finding Good in Bad Times. And in that book, an older Montana Esco, is able to talk to his children about bad things that are happening. I know one of the things from experience when you told me what inspired that, of course, there was, a young child that had been killed. Of course, since then, there have been other senseless deaths that have happened, not only in Mississippi, but also other places. What do you hope that book does, Montana, in helping young people to understand that even though bad things happen, that they can still be able to make a difference?
Well, Cyrus, one thing I will say about the book, I went through it with some of my own children. We in Jackson had we went through it, so there was a child reportedly kidnapped and killed. My kids didn't really understand it, and they was having a hard time understanding that somebody would do something like that to a child. And what I came to realize that children really don't hear about death or even try to understand death until somebody around them has died. So my book, I just wanted to enlighten children that death is real. And I want to kind of also help the parents be able to talk to their children about death as well, because it is a serious, real topic.
Right. It is, right. And that's the thing. I mean, you've been able to address these real topics the first time, of course, with the story of Esco about the importance of dreaming big. I think that's another one for us to go back to because, Montana, we both know there are not always going to be people who believe in us. There are not going to be times, even as adults, that we even believe in ourselves. But what do you hope young people understand about the importance of never giving up on themselves?
Well, what I really hope the young people take from a lot of my messages is that, number one, you're young. But number two, that you are entitled to make mistakes as growing up. But I don't want the young people to know that the one mistake they actually got caught doing, I don't want them to let that define them as an adult. Like, It's okay to make a mistake. I want you to kind of like rebound and start over fresh. It's a lot of people made mistakes. I mean, they're still young. And, society has kind of made it where if you make a mistake, if you get caught making a mistake, you're labeled as a bad person. And I just want the kids to know that's not right. You still have an opportunity. As long as you have breath in your body, God said you still have another chance to get yourself right with Him. Yeah. So I just try to apply that and let people know that making a mistake that's human. But we just need to try not to make the same mistake twice.
For sure. How do you think being a father has changed you, Montana? One of the things that you have talked about even on this program is you became a father young. How has being a father, though, affected you?
It gave me great responsibility. It made me grow up. I started living for my kids and not just myself.
Yeah. And I think, for so many people, I think, that is one of the things that they can learn from. Do you think it also, I mean, as you said, it made you want to live for your kids. Does it also, is that part of the motivation, too, that you have to keep moving forward, even with the challenges that you face?
No doubt. I definitely want my kids to have a bright future. I definitely don't want them to go through some of the things I went through. So everything I'm doing right now is for the betterment of my kids.
Gotcha. Well, there's a lot of great things that people can look to that you've been able to accomplish, Montana. We know that there is more to come. Again, everyone, Montana Esco has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Montana. As I said, he is the author of 3 books. You can get The Story of Esco, Esco Befriends a Bully, that deals with the issue of bullying, and Finding Good in Bad Times. All 3 of them are available through Amazon.com. If you all go to Amazon, all you have to do is type in Montana Esco, and you'll be able to see his books come up there, so make sure you all do get those. And Montana, how can our audience stay connected with you, man?
You always can reach me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Montana Esco. On Instagram, I'm also Montana Esco. And my email is montanaesco@yahoo.com.
All right. So those who are looking for speaking engagements, looking for someone to come out, even he's available for book signings. If you're interested in having Montana come out and share with your group, make sure you guys do hit him up. For those that are joining us online, we'll make sure to put those links below this podcast so you all can easily be able to find it. For those who are joining us, of course, on WYAD 94.1 FM in Yazoo City, Mississippi, we'll make sure that we post this on the Facebook page so you guys can easily find him there. Montana, man, congratulations to you again, man. Thank you for the time. And looking forward to speaking with you again.
I really appreciate you, Cyrus.
Hey, man, glad to have you back. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. Make it a great one.